Welcome to Challenging the Norm, his and hers look at life and business, hosted by Paul Snell and Lindsay Burden. This podcast is designed for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs and business owners redefining success on their terms. Each episode dives into the topics that truly matter, offering a blend of candid discussion, practical insights, all delivered with a sense of humour. We reality check the latest business trends while offering a fresh perspective that challenges conventional thinking. Paul partners with business leaders, leveraging cutting-edge neuroscience to demonstrate how people-centered strategies drive transformational success. While Lindsay brings her unique approach to business coaching, empowering ambitious business owners to achieve financial abundance and a lifestyle rich in time and joy, all without compromising what matters most. Together, we are challenging the norm. So grab a coffee or your beverage of choice and join us as we explore the art of creating a life and business you love.
Hi, Lindsay. Another episode. We're here again. Do you know how long it's been since we've been doing this?
No.
It's been, I don't know, by the way. This is on the spur. I've just sat here thinking, wow, how many times I've said, here we are again, Lindsay. And it's been a few episodes and we've covered so much.
We have.
If I look back, it's got to be 40 episodes plus.
I think it has. Yeah.
How about that? Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask how you are, because that's really important. So how's Lindsay?
I'm good, thank you. How's Paul?
Paul is very, very well. It's that time of year where the sun's shining, at least a little bit. And that always makes me a little fun bunny, because I love the sun and I love the lovely weather. So you'll notice if ever we do this, when we do our episodes in the winter, I don't have quite same bounce in my step. I live with it, right? With summer, I love it. So today's episode, here's the thing. There is so much noise out there.
I know.
There is so much noise out there. How do you filter out the good stuff? How do you filter out the stuff that you should be listening, maybe acting on, and the stuff that you really shouldn't? Because, you know, Lindsay, there's a number of people I've known in my time where we are so good at consuming. I'm talking about being fed information here. I'm not talking about the way you go out and look for it. I'm talking about being fed information. We're very good at consuming. And invariably, there's lots of stuff to consume that quite often is deemed at doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We have to make a few decisions about what we listen to, who we listen to, what we do. But what if we try to do all of it? And I've spoken to several people recently about the fact that they just get caught up in that's a better way of doing it. No, I do it that way. Or I'll do that way as well. And you end up completely confused, frustrated, unable to work out what's right and what's wrong, or where to go and not to go. That's where I've been recently.
It is a struggle, Paul, and it's such a great topic. And before we hit record, I questioned, is this not the same as information overload? We've recorded that before. But from our discussion, it feels to me as though we are going down a slightly different track. Because information overload, it's coming at you, it's there, it feels like you can't do anything about it. You know, you're being, I was going to say fed, but you've used that and I want to save it really. But you are being fed information all the time and you almost can't stop it coming. And in part that happens when you go looking for solutions. In part it happens when you start following a particular coach, for example. And suddenly all those phrases that they use, suddenly you've got at least 20 of them that you're following and they're all saying the same thing in a slightly different way, which is what you're saying. I think when we get to the point where we're trying to filter out good versus bad, and actually filtering out what we need, that's quite a different place to be. Because it feels to me as what you're saying is quite often we get to that point in business where we know what we're doing, we know where we're going, and we know what is required. What we might be doing is looking for the fastest way. We might be looking for the best way.
Mhm.
We might be looking to improve the way that we work, to work smarter, etc., etc. And then when that happens and you get to that point, which by the way is a great place to be, because we're saying that, you know, you've got a solid business, you know where you're going, you just want it to be a little bit easier or smoother, or you might be at that point of up leveling to another income level, for example. But then everybody has an opinion. And I think this is what you're talking about, actually. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody thinks they know the best way. And then before we know it, and I've definitely fallen into this trap. Yeah, you can tell because I'm over here looking, imagining myself, where you find one system, so you go at it, but you're not quite sure. And then someone says, have you tried this? And then you try that. And then someone else says, have you tried this? And it just becomes a big mess. And I think what really then happens is people lose trust in themselves. And then it becomes really hard to decide what's right or what's right for us.
Yeah, and I think there's lots of circumstantial stuff too. I think there are times when the easiest route is something we want to find.
Yeah.
If we are tired, or if we need what we perceive to be a quick result, we look for the easiest route to do that. Because if it's easy, then I can focus on something else that might be a bit tougher or more hard work. And so we fall into a side trap that goes, not only have I got people telling me this is what I should do, whether that's family, another coach, an advisor, whatever word you want to use, I've also got in back of my mind that little voice on my shoulder going, Paul, just use the easiest way. Take it easier, right? Just go with the easiest route. If someone were to turn around and say, follow this one thing and you'll get your 50 leads a week, whatever happens to be the promise is. Or if someone says, I have a very good, pragmatic, structured framework that's been used many, many times before that will lead to a point where you have consistent inbound leads. Which one am I going to go for? If I'm exhausted, I'm going to go for the former. I just want an easy life. So, yep.
Oh, see, now you've got me on my high horse, Paul. And I'm about to hop on the soapbox. There is a real challenge here, isn't there? And now we're getting into this conversation. There's a lot I am seeing at the moment about follow this system for
Yeah.
you. We need to fill our pipeline and all of those things. And I potentially think you're right. Each one is going to look slightly similar. And what happens is we might look for the easiest one, but based on what we have both said, predominantly it is the same thing being churned out.
Correct.
With a different perspective, different voice, different image even.
Yeah.
So you're still going to have to do the work.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge for people, because they will go down the easy route because it's already easy. Guarantee they're going to miss some of the vital steps within it. So then even if you go for something that seems a bit more robust, and robust could be as simple, Paul, as it's double the price.
Yes.
That could be it. Let's be honest. Again, if you don't follow the steps, and here we're talking about a system that could work. We're not talking about something that someone else has created, because there are systems and processes that we have to follow. It would be helpful to follow if we want to create a pipeline, for example. But we miss out the steps. We miss out the steps that are hard for us, uncomfortable for us, because we sit here and go, oh yeah, but I don't need to do that bit. Well, yeah, you do need to do that bit. But to come back to this point about filtering out the noise, we have to get more discerning about who we're listening to and who we're watching. But I know from experience, and it's been happening to me recently, Paul, there is something that I've just sort of been playing with my mind and thinking about. And then it's like, well, you can get more leads on LinkedIn doing this process. And then within 10 minutes, you can get more leads on LinkedIn following this structure. And then you're left with, well, which is going to work for me? And really, the only way to find out is to follow it step by step. No missing out of the steps that you don't enjoy. But then there's another part of me as well, just to stay on my box a minute, is often these people have created them for themselves. And we've talked about this so many times. You're following a process of somebody else's. But even if, let's just play devil's advocate, this 10-step process will absolutely work for you and will bring you leads if you follow it. However, the person that is delivering it to you most likely does not have 2 teenage children. Most likely is not doing the school run or has an elderly parent or any of the 101 other things that are, we're all different in our lives. Our responsibilities are all different. So even if you follow the steps, it might take you a damn sight longer.
Yeah, agreed. And that comes back to a bit of a pet peeve of mine that says that when you are looking at something to assist you in an outcome, I'm trying to be as generic as I can be, or a process, what works for someone else might not work for you for a whole bunch of reasons. You gave one example of life circumstance. There could be other reasons why it won't work for you. And I think what's important and what you've just said that I think is important is, first off, you must follow the process in its entirety. And I think the second point for me is, don't get halfway in and go, I'm bored with this one, let's pick another one. If you're going to go down the route of trying to pick a process that you think would give you the outcome you're looking for, there obviously are no guarantees. Simple fact. But the minute you go down the route of going, I'll try the first couple of steps, doesn't work for me, I'll move to another one, you will do that for the rest of your time. The only way that you can be really sure about something is if you see it through. So when you talk about how do we be more discerning in the noise, I think discerning is very subjective for people. I think, there are some things that you go, you know what, if it's too good to be true, that's probably right? But if you find one you want to follow, I think the gold advice that you've just given is see it through. Even if you get halfway and go, this isn't working for me, see it through. Because if you then need to think, I need a different way, or I need to try a different approach, that seems perfectly reasonable to me. But to get halfway in and go, I'm bored with this one, it's not working for me, I'll now go and try that one that I saw the other week, there will be a consistent pattern of failure. Has to be. Because you don't complete.
And I think it goes back to something, one of your favorite phrases, you've got to have skin in the game. If you are buying a $37 solution, there is a high chance that you will not follow it through because you can afford to lose $37.
Correct.
You can afford to lose 4, 5 $37 solutions, even though that's starting to rack up and that is money you could have invested differently. It's easier to write off $27, $37, $47. And I think there is that other challenge when we only invest that small amount. And I'm not saying there isn't anything out there that you cannot buy for $37 that won't help you here, but you are less likely to commit to it. I think you're less likely to follow the steps. And you are more likely to write it off and move to the next $37 solution.
Correct. I think, in fact, that's a very fair assessment. And it comes back, and I'm not a particular fan of this phrase, but you pay for what you get.
Yeah, you do.
And the reason I'm not a fan of it is because I know there'll be people out there going, well, I've got no money, Paul, so $37 is all I've got. So it might be the only way for me. So I'm not saying for 1 minute, don't be so ridiculous, go and pay £1,000 for it. I think what we're saying here is no matter what the cost or what the investment in time and effort is, complete it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if your $37 solution gives you what you need, and that's really all you can do right now, then it might be the first step that you need. It might not be the full thing. It might not be the complete answer you're looking for, but it's a step forward if you complete it.
Yeah. I think there's another, and I'm sure we've talked about it before. I talk about being sort of a generalist coach, so I can look at all different areas and help a business owner really strengthen the foundations of their business. At which point they may then say, okay, I need to work with a sales coach, or I now need to invest my money in lead generation. They can then go because they are making the decision based on a strong business model.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit of what I've been seeing recently is people, I can see people are working on this area of their business, but it's not, they haven't worked on all of it. And I think that's often what happens when we look for whether it's a $37 solution or we jump in with a, let's use £777 solution. If it's not the right time, it won't work.
Yep.
If it's not the right time, you won't commit, because what will start to happen is you'll notice that there are other areas of the business that aren't working for you. And at the moment, we're seeing a lot around lead generation and a lot around that having a system to bring leads into your business. That's brilliant. But if your business can't take on that number of leads, whatever it might be, or if your business isn't able to support that number, you are then going to find yourself in a different with a different problem and set of challenges to overcome. So I would, always look, because, and then the reason that came to mind was she was saying, it might be if you've only got $37, that might be the step. If you've done the groundwork, you're absolutely right. That $37 might be the one thing you need just to get you moving forward, just to help you get the right steps in place to start creating some movement. But that only happens, I think, when you've got the really strong foundation and you know where you need to spend your $37.
I think that's key. So what I think we're saying, so let's do the 2 points so far that I think are really important. We've done lots of points, but there's two that I really like. I think we need to be clear on what our objective is. So we need to be careful we don't fall into the trap of shiny object syndrome. We need to be absolutely clear. What do I need to achieve in my business? What is it that I'm looking to resolve, to generate the outcome for? Because you can fall into a trap of going, oh, I've watched this webinar and this sales coach says I need to do this to generate these 50 inbound leads a month. And if your outcome was to have a really good plan to grow your business, that's really important before you decide on whether you even need a sales implementation or a coaching plan to generate those leads.
Yeah.
So there is and I think what that does, by the way, I think it keeps you focused and it keeps you grounded. Yeah. You go back and say, right, I've seen this amazing thing. I just need to go back and does it help me move forward?
Yeah.
If it doesn't help me move forward to all these objectives, it probably isn't for now. Might be the right thing, but it probably isn't for now. And I think the second part so far that's really strong is whatever you do, finish it.
Yes.
So far in this conversation, I'm going, great. We're beginning to develop ways of being discerning. We're beginning to develop ways of filtering noise. And what we're saying is be clear in your plan, whatever you would like to call it, of what you're trying to achieve, because that will filter out the stuff that you just think, oh, that looks good, I'll go and have a go at that. And it may not relate at all to what you're trying to achieve. Yeah. And the second part is if you're going to do something, whether it's $37 or $37,000, finish it.
Yeah. And can I add another top tip? It's not so much it's kind of the next step, if you like. Once you have decided upon the route that you are taking, or the course, or the system or process you are going to put into place, unfollow everybody else, unsubscribe from every, because I guarantee, well, if you're anything like me, you will have subscribed to every single expert in the field,
Yeah.
and you'll still be bombarded with that information. So unsubscribe,
Yeah.
unfollow, remove yourself from that field of vision so
Yeah.
that you can be absolutely in that lane following your chosen path, a path that you can move away from, but you've got to give it a go. And we've talked about this before, Paul, because I think it raises another question. We've definitely talked about it. How long
Yeah.
is too long? And there is another episode on this. I think you've got to give, so if you, and a good sort of guide, I guess, is when I've got clients, they're saying, right, I need a CRM system. Excellent. Let's talk about what you need. Da, 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 da. And then they start with the CRM system. And I say, start really simple. So we always start really simple. The very basics of what you can use a CRM. Don't worry about all the bells and whistles. And I say, you have got to give it 6 months
Yes.
before we review it. Now, really, 6 months isn't really long enough, but it should give you, with sort of daily interaction with a CRM system, it'll give you a good idea of whether it's going to work for you. So even if we use that as a guide, you are going to have to give things 6 months. Now, that depends on how quickly you implemented everything. And I would suggest if it's going to be something around a sales funnel, lead generation, and I'm no expert, but I would think 6 to 12 months before you can start looking at the next thing.
I would agree. And I probably, and just as a comment around that, don't think for 1 minute that the other stuff will simply go away in those 12 months. I promise you they won't go away. And then if you turn around to me and say, but Paul, it's on offer, I will promise you it will go on offer again.
Oh God,
It's
yeah.
the nature of marketing,
Yeah.
right? So don't justify jumping out of your lane into another lane before time just because, well, it was on offer, Paul, it's 50% off. It will go on offer again. It's the nature of business. And the same ways it won't go away. It's the nature of business. So give yourself the time, but be rest assured you're not losing out.
No, and I have a bit of I don't want to get on my soapbox again, but I have a real problem with this. There is a particular company who we have bought blinds from, and we bought blinds at the time, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing! It's Christmas, and they're doing next, and now they're giving us an extra 10% off. That offer just stays constant.
Yes.
It's rare. Yes, the offer may not be available on all blinds. So you might have to just wait a few months for your blinds, but
Yep.
it's always there. And I do have this issue. In fact, I don't know what platform I was on, but it was something, I don't know, it was going to make me look 20 years younger anyway. And someone said, well, that's not really fair because I bought, this is 50% off now and I paid full price. So there is this challenge around using pricing in your marketing, which is we should do that as a podcast because that is
Should.
a really good one,
Yeah.
really good episode. Not in a podcast because I don't need us to start another podcast, another episode. I think there is this real challenge around it's on special offer. I always believe if it is a solid product, it will always be at a good price or at a price you can afford. If it is fluctuating pricing, where you buy this and we'll give you £997,000 worth of bonuses, there is something not right there. And it usually tells me that they are ramming it full or cramming it full of every single thing that you could possibly not need
Yeah.
or will ever get to. So if there is something that is a brilliant price and they are offering so many bonuses, and if you don't get it now, I would question it
Yeah.
before you buy.
I agree. I agree. And in fact, I've experienced. You see, I can hand on heart say I'm a good consumer, as well as
You're a great consumer.
yeah, as well as someone who gives good advice. But I'm a good consumer, and I can remember thinking that sounds ideal, that solution, and they were offering this free trial. I thought, oh, I'll have a look at it. It's free trial, so I'll just have a look at it. My goodness, I have never been in such a fast-paced, automated process of one email after the other, telling me that if I just paid another $10, I would get $1,000 worth of benefits of this video and that book and so forth. Never experienced such an aggressive approach in all my life. And that alone is for me to go, red flag, red flag. If they feel the need to be such a hard sell to you, then I question the product. Because here's the reality, and we all know, we've talked about due diligence before. If there has to be a hard sell in anything that you see that you think, then I have to question the success or the what's the word I'm looking for? The social proof behind that product. Because the reality is, Lindsay, if you look at anywhere out there, think of a product that I can think of one. I really like Apple products, right? It doesn't matter why. Yes, I'm for form over function. Yes, I realize that. But the reality is I really like Apple products, and they don't ram that down my throat. I don't get an email from them every week saying, do you realize you could buy another iPhone, blah, 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 blah. I don't get that, and I respect that. And it's a quality product in a quality market. If I got every 2 minutes, Apple this, Apple that, 20% off this, 100% off that if you buy 2 of them, all of my hackles go up. All of my concerns go up. And I think that's a part of filtering too.
Yeah. And you've picked a really good brand there, actually, because, you may get some of their products at a reduced price, but usually that reduced price comes via a retailer. They are doing 10% off, 20% off, or whatever they might be doing, or throwing in something. But even then, you rarely see Apple products in a flash. Well, you will never see them in a flash sale. That's because they stand by their quality, their brand, and they know they've got a product that people want. They've created the marketing around it, so we want their products, and we will pay premium for that product, but it is a premium product. So that is a really good example. So I think what we're saying here, isn't it, is that if you are going to purchase something, not only do we want you to follow it, and if we're thinking about a process, for example, implement the system, follow the process, give it long enough, which we're kind of saying, 6 to 12 months to see if something's working before you move on. What we're also saying is that due diligence piece, if you're buying something and then they're offering you this, that, and the other, and that says one thing to me. It says what you're buying is not going to work, because now apparently you need all these other things as well.
Yes.
So, and for me as well, Paul, and there's a particular person and a product I'm thinking about, and he does some incredible masterclasses which are reasonably priced. I think the last time I bought a masterclass was £156. Reasonably priced. It was a really great masterclass. It was, was not delivered live. Made loads of notes, and it really has helped. And I'm still on their mailing list. But what they have is a membership. So they have a number of products, but actually core to their systems and processes is the one-to-one support that you get through their group calls, etc. So I think there is, if you can hold off on your $37, your $97, just wait and keep that money to one side. Keep just putting open a little savings account, because something will come along that will do what you need it to do and some. And that's value.
I think so. And the reality is, and we can't speak for everybody, but you make a very good point. If you're sitting there with your $37 wanting to do the thing that you want to do, work a way of perhaps postponing that for a while. Keep adding to that $37. It gives you greater scope as well You know, $37 is going to buy you probably one, maybe two things out there. $150 will buy you 10 to 20 things out there. So you broaden your choice and you give the opportunity for real value, because the comment you just made that for me makes distinct sense is, if part of that is this, we'll call it one-to-one support, but I don't mean you get them on a phone call every 2 minutes. I mean, there is someone there somewhere to give you some feedback on something that you may have a question on. I think that's hugely valuable.
Yeah.
I think if you can go down that route, go down a route where that's available. It can be a game changer. It's a bit like, you know, what's a good analogy? Buying a TV. I'm going off piste here, so forgive me for this, Lindsay, but buying a TV is a hugely technical thing these days. Back in the day, going back many years, oh my goodness, I'm going to sound old, you could rent a TV from Radio Rentals. Yes. And it turns up, or it did turn up, with a bunch of buttons on the side. You had 3 channels. Life was easy. You couldn't get it wrong. The reason I'm saying this, I bought a new TV recently we're moving home. And I'm quite technical. I come from a technology background. And honestly, I looked at that thinking, my goodness, I need a degree in computer science to know how to set this up. It does Apple Play. It does Alexa. It does numerous ways of getting media onto a screen. And I sat there thinking, wow, I really need someone to talk to. Because this is now, I'm going to spend a decent amount of money. So I want to be sure that what I understand, or if I don't understand, what does that mean? So if you find yourself in a situation, going back to the point, if you're looking at buying something to help you achieve something, some training, some course, whatever it might be, if people are willing to answer your questions, I would say that's a huge plus.
I'm glad you mentioned the TV. Because I think that's a brilliant analogy. Please, people, make sure you are buying what you need and not buying into something that, yes, gives you what you need, but all the bells and whistles and everything else as well. Because there is a high chance, people, Paul is not going to use everything that's on that. You know, I'm going to take a wild guess. And we've got a TV that does quite a bit. I just switch it on. I just want to watch a program. If you just want to watch a program, people, go simple.
Yeah.
It's the same applies to everything. Just be careful that you're not buying into something that actually you don't need.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. And I'm now going to try and remember so far that for me is 4 points, but one of them I'm not sure on. Because like always, Lindsay, you and I can talk forever on these things, and soapbox gets stood on and horses get high horses, so forth. So let's be clear on a few things as we start to run down towards the end of this episode. One is, be clear on what you're trying to achieve before you go looking for something to buy to get there. I think that's critically important. And the reason for that is it can avoid the shiny thing syndrome. You know, you go, oh, is this moving me forward to where I want to be? Nope. Okay, then that's not for me this time. Right? Not there ever, but not this time. I think let's make sure that you give it time and follow the process. Don't skip. Don't do the very male thing. Here I am just going down the sexist route a minute. Don't do the male thing when it comes to putting together flat pack furniture, which is, I don't read instructions, I just do it. Don't do that. Read the instructions, give it time, and give it plenty of time. You know, don't go, well, I'll give it 6 weeks, when the reality is, if you're trying to generate inbound leads, it's going to take longer than 6 weeks, right? So give it time, see it through, follow it completely before you even think about what might come next. And for me, those are the 2 fundamental points out of this. I think when we talk about filtering, I like the comment you've just made about, if you can, keep putting your $37 away, because the more, I've got to be careful here, because it's not always the case. But usually the more you pay, the higher the quality, right? And then I'm also going to add, because I thought it was brilliant on your part too, which was when you go looking for something, if you find there are people, not anything other, but people who are willing to answer your questions, who are willing to give you a view, to talk about it, I think that's a huge plus when it comes to trying to filter out what I should or shouldn't buy.
Yes. And remember to unsubscribe from everything. Once you've found your
Yes.
thing, you're in your lane, just to unsubscribe, unfollow, leave everything else behind to allow that time to see if it will or won't work for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that the final point, Paul, comes from your TV with your all singing, all dancing TV. Buy what you need.
Yeah.
Just because it comes with all the bells and whistles,
Yeah.
that could become a distraction.
Yeah.
So, it's easier to buy what you need when you're really clear on what outcome you're trying to
Oh,
achieve.
yes. I think so. I really think so.
I do wonder though, Paul, if all this is very, in some ways, a little bit easy for us to say because we've been around the block and we've done it. And let's face it, we've bought the $37 solutions, we've bought the flashy TVs, and we don't use half the things on it. But if anyone is looking for something, a solution or something that will help their business become easier, smoother, whether it's inbound links, whatever it is, ask your trusted friends for a recommendation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't just start opening up the floodgates to anything and everything. Do not ask the cat, your neighbor, your trusted business friends.
I agree. And that's probably a great point to finish on because there is nothing better than recommendation. There's nothing better than referral.
Yeah,
right? If you've got someone who's gone, do you know what, I've done that and I did it and I spent 6 months at it and wow, what a difference it made. I can promise you, you're more likely to do that than any other way.
yeah.
So I think as a final point on a great episode is go for the recommendations, talk to people, but let's be clear, listen to people that are doing or have done what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Because anyone else just doesn't have the point of reference for that. And listen to what they've got to say. And if they turn around and say you should go for the blue one, not the red one, and all you want to do is the red one, then sorry, but the filter's there. You've gone through the filter, you've listened to someone, you've gone through the due diligence, you've filtered out the noise. Now you've got somewhere to go. And you've got something that's likely, with all the odds in your favor, to make it work for you.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
Just to finish this episode, I've noticed, Paul, that you're obviously packing too. Because behind you, I've now suddenly noticed there are no books, there is nothing. So I'm wondering whether next time we speak, whether even the picture behind your head will have gone.
Well, no, not for the next time, but it is imminent. You will notice, I am sure you're going to turn and say, Paul, what is going on with this office you're now in? And I will reveal all at that point. But right now, there are no books. I am slowly but surely losing everything around me. But thankfully, the laptop's still here. So we're still recording, which I absolutely love to do.
Well, I'm going to look forward to our next episode because I want to do one on marketing, Paul.
We can do that. Absolutely. Marketing. In fact, we probably need to sit and talk and refine that a wee bit. Marketing is a huge subject. And yet, at this ripe old age, I would say very bravely, marketing is the biggest differentiator in business.
Yeah.
So
we can find a better title than marketing. Fear not, people.
Yes, we will indeed. But that's it for today. Otherwise, we will carry on talking, you and I, because we love to do so. And we have people that have probably listened now for the last 35 minutes going, please, when are you going to finish?
Lovely to see you, Paul.
You too. See you soon.